Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here today. It's a great honor to speak with you about something profound, something that touches not only our bank accounts, but our hearts, our spirits, and the very purpose of our existence. The topic we're exploring today is not just about money, it's about alignment. It's about a mental shift so powerful that it shapes the reality around you. The title is simple but profound. God's mindset will draw wealth to you. Now, let me be clear from the beginning. When we speak of God's mindset, we are not talking about religion in the conventional sense. We're not referring to rituals, denominations, or dogma. We're referring to a divine way of thinking, a higher intelligence, a consciousness that operates beyond fear, lack, and limitation. God's mindset is expansive, it's creative, it's abundant by nature. And the closer we move toward this mindset, the more we unlock in ourselves the capacity to receive, create, and multiply wealth. Not just financial wealth, but emotional, spiritual, relational, and intellectual wealth. Most of us grow up with mental programs that shape our lives. We're taught to fear lack, to compete, to hold on tightly, to believe there's not enough to go around. We're told that money is scarce, that opportunity is limited, and that some people are just lucky while others aren't. These beliefs, while widespread, are not aligned with the mindset of God. They're rooted in survival, not creation. They come from the ego, not the spirit. And so our first task, if we truly want to draw wealth to ourselves, is to begin replacing these limiting beliefs with truth, God's truth. What is that truth? It's the truth that you were born to thrive, that you are not a mistake, not an afterthought, not a cog in someone else's machine. You are a unique expression of divine intelligence. You were designed with gifts. You were created with potential that cannot be measured by exams, jobs, or paychecks. Within you lies the power to manifest wealth, not by force, not by manipulation, but by alignment. When you align your thoughts with the divine mind, you start to see the world differently. You begin to understand that wealth is everywhere, that opportunity is not something you chase, it's something you attract. And you attract it not by working harder alone, but by thinking higher. Think about the very nature of God. Whether you see God as a creator, universal energy, or infinite intelligence, whatever language you prefer, one thing is constant. God lacks nothing. God is not anxious. God is not in survival mode. God does not fear bills or taxes or rejection. God creates effortlessly. The sun rises without a struggle. The ocean moves in perfect rhythm. Trees bear fruit because it's in their nature to do so. There is no lack in the mind of God. And when you begin to adopt that same mindset, when you understand that lack is an illusion and abundance is the truth, you begin to live from a completely different energy. Wealth responds to energy. That may sound strange if you're used to seeing money only as paper or numbers on a screen, but wealth, in its essence, is energy. Money is a symbol, a tool, a representation of value, and energy attracts like energy. If you think in terms of lack, if you constantly worry, if you believe you're not worthy, you radiate a frequency that repels wealth. But if you think in terms of abundance, if you carry peace, gratitude, expectation, and purpose, you begin to emit a frequency that draws wealth toward you. It's not magic, it's alignment. God's mindset is not only abundant, it's generous. Creation itself is generous. The earth gives, the sun gives, the body gives. Life is wired to give. So to move into the mindset of God, you must become a giver. Not out of obligation, not to manipulate returns, but because it's your true nature. Giving opens the flow. It removes the blockages of fear and selfishness. And when you give with a full heart, time, attention, resources, service, you activate spiritual laws that cannot fail. You create space for more to come in. This is not just philosophy. This is a law of the universe. Generosity opens the door to abundance. Now, this doesn't mean you don't work hard. God's mindset is not laziness or passivity. On the contrary, it is purposeful action. But the difference is this. When you're aligned with God's mindset, your work becomes joyful, meaningful, guided. You're not running on fumes, chasing checks, or burning out to impress others. You're working with flow. You're inspired. Ideas come to you. Solutions appear. The right people show up. Why? Because you're moving with the current of divine order, not fighting against it. To truly embody God's mindset, you must also release fear. Fear is the great blocker of wealth. It tells you to stay small. It tells you you're not ready. It whispers that failure is fatal, that risk is dangerous, that security is in clinging to what you have. But God's mindset is rooted in faith. Faith is not blind hope. It's trust in a reality bigger than your current circumstances. It's the knowing that even when you can't see the full picture, you're still moving forward because you're being guided. Faith walks where fear cannot go, and every wealthy person who has truly built lasting abundance has done so through some measure of faith. Faith in their vision, their gifts, and the higher power behind them. You see, true wealth is not just about making money. It's about becoming the kind of person who attracts it. That begins with your thoughts. Every day you must train your mind to think as God would think. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, how would God see this? With panic or with purpose? When you encounter scarcity, ask, is this the truth or is this a temporary illusion? When you're tempted to settle, remind yourself that you were not created for mediocrity. God's mindset is not one of settling. It is one of expansion, growth, and vision. Speaking of vision, this is a core principle in attracting wealth. God does not create without vision. Everything begins in the mind. You must see it before you receive it. If your vision is limited, your results will be limited. But if your vision is large, if you allow yourself to imagine, to dream, to believe that you were meant for more, then you begin to align with the expansive nature of divine thought. And don't just dream vaguely, be specific. Clarity is power. Know what you want, why you want it, and how it will serve others, not just yourself. Because when your wealth becomes a vehicle for blessing others, for solving problems, for bringing light into the world, then the universe conspires to support you. That is the very essence of God's mindset. Another aspect of this mindset is gratitude. God's mindset is never complaining, never comparing, never resentful. It is rooted in thankfulness. Gratitude multiplies what you have. When you are grateful, you focus on what's working, not just what's missing. You become a magnet for more blessings. Why? Because your mind is tuned to abundance, not lack. Every day, take time to reflect on what you're grateful for, not just things, but people, lessons, growth, health, breath. Gratitude is not just an emotion, it's a frequency, and wealth responds to that frequency. And let us not forget integrity. God's mindset is one of truth, honesty, and authenticity. If you cheat, lie, or manipulate to get wealth, you may succeed for a season, but it won't last. True wealth, the kind that brings peace, comes through alignment with truth. Be honest in your dealings, keep your word, do good work, respect others. The energy you put out comes back to you, always. When you walk in integrity, you build not just wealth, but character, and character sustains what money cannot. Some of you may say, well, I've tried all this and nothing's changed. Let me tell you this, growth is a process. Seeds don't bloom overnight. You must stay in the mindset even when the results aren't immediate. You must hold the vision even when the bank balance is low. You must trust the process, trust the divine timing. God's mindset is eternal. It does not rush. It knows the right season for everything. Your job is not to force the fruit, but to nurture the roots. And yes, there will be setbacks. That's part of the journey. But remember, in the mindset of God, there is no failure, only feedback, only redirection, only refinement. What looks like a loss today could be preparing you for a greater win tomorrow. Stay faithful, stay focused. The universe honors perseverance. The divine rewards those who do not give up, who keep walking even when the road gets dark. That's the essence of spiritual wealth, resilience, vision, and trust. So as we close today, I urge you, make the choice to rise into God's mindset. Let go of fear, release doubt, abandon the small thinking that says you can't, you won't, or you're not enough. Choose instead to believe that you are created for abundance, that wealth is your birthright, that purpose and prosperity are not separate, they are connected. When you serve with love, give with joy, create with vision, and act with faith, you will draw wealth to you, not by chasing it, but by becoming the kind of person it naturally flows to. Adopting a divine abundance mentality begins with a deep inner recognition that lack is not our natural state. We live in a world that constantly tries to convince us otherwise. From a young age, we are programmed to think in terms of limitation. There's not enough money, not enough opportunity, not enough success to go around. We are taught to compete for resources, to hold on tightly to what we have, and to view the world through a lens of scarcity. But when we begin to shift into God's mindset, we discover that this is not the truth of how the universe operates. God's nature is abundance. Creation itself is a reflection of limitless possibility. The sun shines freely, the oceans are vast, the earth is fertile, and life is constantly renewing itself. There is no hesitation in divine creation, no fear that there won't be enough. Everything operates in flow and with purpose. To embrace this mindset, we must challenge and unlearn the beliefs that keep us stuck in limitation. Scarcity is a lens that distorts our vision. It makes us act from fear, think small, and settle for less. But divine abundance begins by realizing that we are connected to a source that does not run dry. God is not limited by economics, by environment, or by human opinion. When we understand that we are made in the image of this creative force, we begin to recognize that the same limitless potential exists within us. Abundance is not about having more things. It's about awakening to the truth that everything we need already exists and is available when we align with it. This alignment starts with thought. Every thought carries energy, and when our thoughts are based in fear, we attract more fear-based experiences. But when our thoughts reflect trust, gratitude, and expectation of good, we begin to shift our reality. Abundance is first a state of mind. It's the willingness to believe that good is not only possible, but inevitable when we are aligned with divine principle. It's knowing that the universe is friendly, not hostile, that blessings are not random or reserved for a select few, but available to all who are ready to receive and believe. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending problems don't exist. It means refusing to let those challenges define the limits of what's possible. God's mindset never stops at what is seen. It always looks beyond. It always believes in the power of transformation. It always trusts that more is possible. When we adopt this way of thinking, we no longer panic when something is taken away because we know we are connected to a source that can replenish, restore, and even improve upon what was lost. It also means releasing envy and comparison. Scarcity breeds jealousy. It makes us think that someone else's success diminishes our own potential. But in a divine abundance mentality, we celebrate the blessings of others, knowing that their gain is not our loss. There is more than enough to go around. The more we see abundance in others, the more we open ourselves to receive it. We become magnets for prosperity, not because we are desperate for it, but because we are aligned with its frequency. Adopting this mentality also leads to greater peace. When we stop striving from a place of lack, we begin to create from a place of joy. We take inspired action, not frantic action. We become less attached to the outcomes and more trusting of the process. Our confidence grows because we're not relying on external sources for validation or support. We're anchored in the knowing that God's provision is always near, always working on our behalf, even when we don't see it yet. This mindset also affects how we speak. Our words either affirm scarcity or declare abundance. Instead of saying, I can't afford that, we begin to say, I'm choosing to invest in something else right now. Instead of saying there are no opportunities, we say, I trust that the right opportunity is coming at the right time. Language matters because it reflects belief, and belief, when rooted in divine truth, shapes outcomes. Ultimately, adopting a divine abundance mentality is about remembering who we really are. We are not victims of circumstance. We are co-creators with the divine. We are stewards of ideas, talents, and resources that, when cultivated in faith and purpose, can produce extraordinary results, not just for ourselves, but for others. When we think like God, we stop living from survival and start living from overflow. And in that overflow, wealth in all its forms naturally flows to us. Aligning with the energy of wealth is not about chasing money or constantly striving for material gain. It is about becoming the kind of person to whom wealth naturally flows. At its core, wealth is energy. It is not limited to cash, assets, or possessions. It is a frequency, a vibration that reflects flow, expansion, generosity, creativity, and purpose. To align with that energy, we must begin by understanding that our thoughts, emotions, and actions send signals to the world around us. The way we think, feel, and behave determines the kind of energy we emit, and that energy shapes what we attract into our lives. When we think in terms of lack, when we carry worry, resentment, or fear about money, we unknowingly repel wealth. We may work hard, pursue opportunities, or try to increase our income, but if our inner world is filled with anxiety or scarcity, we're out of sync with the energy of abundance. Wealth does not come to a person who constantly expects the worst. It does not flourish in an atmosphere of fear or desperation. Instead, it moves toward those who expect good things, who believe in possibility, who walk in trust rather than tension. This is why mindset is everything. Aligning with wealth requires us to shift how we see the world, how we see ourselves, and how we relate to the idea of prosperity. It means recognizing that wealth is not something separate from us or something we have to beg for. It is something we align with by elevating our internal state. Peace, gratitude, confidence, and joy are emotional states that carry a high frequency. These states draw opportunity, people, and resources. When we live from a space of emotional alignment, we create a field of energy that is receptive to wealth. Acting with purpose is another essential element of this alignment. Wealth is drawn to clarity and intention. If we move through life aimlessly or reactively, we may miss the very channels through which abundance wants to reach us. But when we are clear on our purpose, when we wake up each day with a sense of meaning, direction, and service, we become magnetic. Our actions carry weight. Our work gains value. People can feel when someone is driven by genuine purpose. That kind of energy cannot be faked, and it is deeply attractive to wealth. This doesn't mean everything happens instantly. Aligning with wealth is a process. There are moments when things may seem still, when progress feels slow, when results don't match effort, but this is where emotional mastery becomes crucial. In those moments, remaining peaceful, grateful, and expectant keeps us in alignment. Gratitude especially is a powerful wealth magnet. When we are thankful for what we have, no matter how small, we affirm to the universe that we are ready for more. We stop focusing on what's missing and start building on what's present. This shift opens doors that were previously invisible. Expectation is another form of alignment. Expectation is not wishful thinking. It is a deep knowing that good is on the way. It is living in such a way that you prepare for the blessing before it arrives. You speak as if it's already happening. You make space in your life, in your schedule, in your mind for the increase you believe is coming. This kind of mindset signals trust, and trust activates flow. The energy of wealth does not need to be forced. It needs to be welcomed. Another key to aligning with wealth is authenticity. The energy you emit must be genuine. If you pretend to be positive while secretly holding doubt, the universe responds to your true vibration, not your mask. That's why inner work is so essential. Heal what needs to be healed. Release what needs to be let go. The clearer and more whole your inner world, the more purely you resonate with abundance. And that purity attracts real, lasting wealth. Not just money, but fulfillment, joy, and peace. It is also important to surround yourself with energy that supports your alignment. Spend time with people who think abundantly, who speak life, who live with vision. Avoid environments that constantly reinforce struggle, pessimism, or fear. Protect your mind from messages that tell you you're not enough or that life is only about hard work and survival. While discipline and effort have their place, they must be rooted in inspired energy, not anxiety. Ultimately, aligning with the energy of wealth is about becoming wealth yourself. It is about cultivating thoughts, emotions, and actions that are rooted in love, faith, purpose, and generosity. When you embody these qualities, wealth is no longer something you chase. It becomes something that finds you because it recognizes itself in you. The more you live in alignment, the more you experience the effortless flow of divine abundance. Giving generously and serving others is one of the most powerful ways to align with the divine flow of abundance. In a world that often tells us to hold on tightly, protect what we have, and put ourselves first, generosity seems counterintuitive, but the divine mindset operates by a different set of laws. It recognizes that giving is not loss, it's expansion. It's not about depletion, it's about flow. When we give, We create space in our lives for more to come in. We tell the universe through our actions that we trust in an infinite source. We affirm that there is enough, not just for others, but for us too. Generosity is not only about money. Yes, financial giving is one form of it, and a powerful one at that. But generosity is so much broader. It's giving your time when someone needs support. It's offering encouragement, wisdom, or a listening ear. It's using your talents to help others move forward. It's creating value for others, not just in what you sell, but in how you show up in everyday life. Every act of service, no matter how small, carries energy. And that energy circulates. It doesn't disappear. It multiplies and often returns to you in unexpected ways. When you give from the heart, not out of guilt, obligation, or manipulation, but from a place of love and purpose, you activate spiritual laws that govern abundance. These laws are consistent and trustworthy. What you sow, you reap. What you give, you receive. It may not come back in the same form or from the same people, but it does come back. Life is not linear in its blessings, it is cyclical. When you pour into others, you create ripple effects that often bring new opportunities, deeper relationships, and financial breakthroughs into your own life. Generosity also purifies your intentions. It shifts your focus from what can I get to how can I contribute. And this shift is key because when your wealth journey is rooted only in self-interest, it often lacks the deeper energy that draws true abundance. But when your success is connected to impact, when your financial growth means someone else is uplifted, empowered, or inspired, then your wealth gains meaning. It becomes a tool for good. And anything used for good is supported by divine forces. Serving others is not about being a savior or sacrificing yourself endlessly. It's about understanding your unique role in the ecosystem of life. Every person has something to offer, and when we live with open hands, we make ourselves available to be used in ways we couldn't predict. The divine mindset sees giving not as charity, but as participation in a larger flow. You become a channel. Resources move through you, not just to you, and in that movement, life becomes richer, fuller, more meaningful. Generosity also has a way of healing. When we give, especially during times when we feel we don't have much, it reminds us of our power. It takes us out of the victim mindset and into the mindset of overflow. Even in difficult times, you always have something to offer. Your time, your love, your support, your wisdom, your prayers. And in the act of giving, we often discover that we had more than we realized. We tap into reserves of strength and compassion that bring us closer to the divine nature within us. Another beautiful aspect of giving is that it connects people. It builds community. It strengthens trust. In a world where disconnection is growing, generosity creates bridges. When you give, people remember not just what you gave, but how it made them feel. You become part of their story. And sometimes those connections become the very doors through which future opportunities enter your life. Wealth is not built in isolation. It is built in networks, relationships, and mutual support. Giving is often the seed that grows those connections. There is a joy in giving that can't be bought. When you give without expectation, you experience freedom. You release attachment. You stop trying to control outcomes and begin to trust that life supports those who support life. That kind of trust attracts more than just money. It brings peace, creativity, and favor. It makes you a magnet not only for financial resources, but for good experiences, genuine people, and divine alignment. In the end, giving and serving are not strategies for getting more. They are expressions of who we truly are when we remove fear. The divine within us is generous by nature. We are not here to hoard, but to circulate. We are not here just to survive, but to uplift. And when we live that truth, when we give generously and serve with love, we open the door for wealth to find us in deeper, more lasting ways. Replacing fear with faith is a necessary transformation for anyone who desires to live in alignment with divine abundance. Fear is a powerful force, and when it controls our thoughts, decisions, and actions, it blocks the natural flow of prosperity. Fear creates tension, confusion, hesitation, and lack of trust in ourselves, in others, and in the divine plan that unfolds around us. Fear convinces us to settle for less, to avoid risk, to cling to what we know, even if what we know is far from what we truly desire. It limits our vision, shrinks our potential, and disconnects us from the very energy that attracts wealth. Wealth, like all blessings, responds to energy. It flows freely where there is openness, courage, clarity, and trust. It resists environments dominated by doubt and anxiety. When we make decisions based on fear, whether it's fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of loss, or fear of the unknown, we unknowingly tell the universe that we do not believe we are supported. We signal that we don't trust in a higher wisdom or a greater outcome. And when we operate from that state, even hard work can feel unproductive. Efforts go unnoticed and doors seem closed. Fear dims the light we are meant to shine. Faith, on the other hand, is not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. True faith is not blind optimism. It is spiritual vision. It is the inner knowing that even when we cannot see the way forward, there is a way. It is trust in something greater than logic, greater than circumstance, greater than what others may say or think. Faith allows us to move despite uncertainty, to act even when the outcome is unclear, and to remain steady when the ground feels unstable. It is in these moments that we grow, and it is in this growth that we become magnets for abundance. When we replace fear with faith, we make space for inspired action. Fearful action is frantic, reactive, and scattered. It often comes from a place of desperation or a desire to prove something. Inspired action, however, is grounded. It is led by intuition and peace. It moves with purpose and clarity, not pressure. When you act in faith, you do not need to see the entire staircase. You just need to take the next right step. That willingness to move, even when the path is not fully revealed, activates momentum, and momentum is how breakthroughs are born. Faith also allows us to see rejection, delay, or loss not as permanent failure, but as redirection. When fear rules our minds, every setback feels like confirmation of defeat. But in faith, we understand that everything happens for us, not to us. We start to interpret life through a lens of trust. The job you didn't get, the deal that fell through, the path that closed, these can all be part of a divine strategy to lead you towards something greater. Faith sees purpose where fear sees problems. Faith turns pain into preparation. Another critical aspect of living in faith is releasing control. Fear always wants to control outcomes. It insists on knowing how and when things will happen. It clings to certainty and resists surrender. But control is often an illusion. We are not meant to force life into our plans. We are meant to co-create with the divine. Faith understands that our role is to prepare, to show up, to trust, and to obey the nudges we receive, even when they don't make complete sense. When we release control, we allow life to surprise us in ways far better than we could have orchestrated on our own. Faith also influences how we speak. Our words carry power. When we are in fear, our language is full of doubt. I don't know if this will work. I'm not sure I'm good enough. I hope something changes. These words reflect an internal world of uncertainty. But faith speaks life. Things are working out for me. I am capable and supported. Doors are opening in perfect timing. When we speak from faith, we align our energy with the outcome we desire. We become the evidence of the belief we hold. Replacing fear with faith is not a one-time decision. It is a daily choice. Some days, fear will try to creep back in through unexpected news, setbacks, or the opinions of others. But we must return again and again to the truth that we are not alone, that we are supported by a wisdom far greater than ourselves. When we make faith our foundation, we build a life that is not only resilient, but expansive. We begin to walk with boldness, dream with confidence, and attract the kind of wealth that is rooted in peace and purpose. Faith opens the door, and when we walk through it, everything begins to change. Living with integrity and vision is one of the most powerful ways to align with divine abundance. God's mindset is not built on shortcuts, deception, or manipulation. It is rooted in truth. It values character, responsibility, and clarity of purpose. When you live with integrity, you walk in alignment with your highest self, and when you live with vision, you give direction to your energy. Together, these two qualities create a foundation strong enough to support not just temporary success, but lasting wealth that endures and elevates others. Integrity is more than just being honest with others. It's about being honest with yourself. It means aligning your thoughts, words, and actions. It means doing what is right even when no one is watching. It means honoring your commitments, showing up when you said you would, and refusing to compromise your values for gain. In a world where cutting corners and chasing fast results is common, Integrity is rare, and that's exactly why it's powerful. When people trust your word, when your name carries weight because of your consistent character, you become someone others want to work with, invest in, and support. Wealth built without integrity may come quickly, but it does not last. It comes with anxiety, fear of exposure, and the burden of maintaining illusions. On the other hand, wealth that grows through integrity is solid. It is peaceful. It allows you to rest at night knowing that your success is clean, that you didn't harm others to get where you are, and that your growth is sustainable. That kind of wealth is rooted in alignment with divine principles. But integrity alone is not enough. Vision is what gives your integrity direction. Vision is your roadmap. It answers the question, why am I doing this and where am I going? Without vision, even the most ethical person can feel stuck or lost. Vision gives your energy purpose. It helps you stay focused and resilient, especially when challenges arise. God's mindset is visionary by nature. The divine does not act randomly. It creates with intention. Every detail of creation serves a larger purpose. When you begin to think and live in this way, you start to move through life with greater clarity and momentum. Your vision must be specific. Vague dreams produce vague results. Instead of saying you want to be rich or successful, define what that means for you. What does your life look like when you are living fully in your purpose? Who are you serving? What kind of impact are you making? How does your wealth improve not only your life, but the lives of others? These questions matter because they give depth to your ambition. When your vision includes others, when your goals contribute to the betterment of people around you, you tap into divine flow. The universe supports those who support others. When your wealth is linked to contribution, it becomes not just personal, but spiritual. Living with vision also helps you say no to distractions. Not every opportunity is meant for you. Not every path is aligned with your purpose. Without vision, you may be tempted to chase things that look good on the surface, but pull you away from your true calling. But with a clear vision, you become selective. You value your time and energy. You stop chasing trends and start building legacy. You stop reacting and start creating. Your life becomes intentional and your actions become powerful. There will be times when maintaining integrity and vision feels difficult. You may see others succeed faster by cutting corners. You may be tempted to lower your standards when progress is slow. But remember, divine timing is not the same as human timing. The seeds you plant in integrity take root deeply. They take time, but when they grow, they produce fruit that lasts. They create a reputation that opens doors, relationships that enrich your life, and a foundation that can withstand challenges. Vision also helps you endure the waiting seasons. When results are delayed, your vision reminds you of the bigger picture. It gives you patience. It helps you stay committed to the process, knowing that the work you're doing is building something meaningful. You don't need validation every day when you have a clear vision. You move forward with quiet confidence because you know where you're going and who you are becoming along the way. In the end, living with integrity and vision is not just about achieving wealth. It's about becoming the kind of person who can carry wealth with grace, wisdom, and purpose. It's about building something that matters, something that reflects the divine nature within you. When your actions are rooted in truth and your goals are guided by vision, you attract the kind of success that is not only prosperous, but fulfilling. You become a light in the world, a source of strength for others, and a reflection of the abundance that comes from walking in alignment with God's higher path. Being patient, grateful, and resilient is essential for anyone seeking to walk in alignment with divine abundance. Wealth, true wealth, does not happen overnight. It is a process, not just a result. It unfolds gradually like the seasons. There are times of planting, times of watering, and times of harvest. But in between, there are also moments of silence, waiting, and uncertainty. Many people give up before the blessing arrives because they lack the patience to trust the process. But God's mindset sees time differently. It understands that everything unfolds in divine order and at the perfect moment. Patience is not passive. It is not sitting still and doing nothing. Patience is a form of strength. It is the ability to stay focused, calm, and faithful while continuing to take consistent action toward your vision. It means refusing to quit just because the results are not immediate. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with images of instant success, quick wins, fast money, overnight fame. But those examples are often illusions or exceptions, not the rule. Real wealth is built layer by layer through intention, effort, alignment, and time. Practicing gratitude in the midst of that process is what keeps your heart and energy aligned with abundance. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already have. It transforms your perspective and raises your vibration. When you give thanks daily, not just for big wins, but for small signs of progress, you activate spiritual principles that attract more to be thankful for. Gratitude is magnetic. It tells the universe you are ready to receive, and it opens your eyes to the opportunities that were already around you but hidden by frustration or discouragement. Being grateful doesn't mean you ignore challenges. It means you choose to see them through the lens of faith. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin